I faced these decisions. I made them quickly. I didn't have all the data or all the facts or all the vision, but I knew that if I made that decision, I would be happy. And that was enough.
We talked already about your transition from teacher to Accenture. And of course, there were some risks in that transition. But then there's another big transition because you were at Accenture, then you were at Credera, you were managing principal. So if you think about it, you made it in that career progression. And then you make the decision of starting your own business. How did that happen? And how did you manage? Because I'm sure at that point, maybe some people said that you were doing the wrong thing. Why would you leave this such a great career behind and start something that other people might perceive as risky? Would you walk us through the thought process of like why making that decision, and how do you handle the noise that often happens to entrepreneurs and people taking these so-called risks from everybody else's perspective?
Some of the decisions I've made in my life have really been under the guise of the pursuit of happiness.
Mhm.
And I'll tell you a story before I answer that specific example. So I moved with my wife to Ohio for her job. And so I was then between jobs. And I sort of unpacked the house and got things organized. And after about a week or two, she was like, you know, you need to go get a job. You can't just play golf all day. I was like, okay, all right. But I didn't know what my next like real grown up job was going to be. So I took a job just temporarily, get out of the house with Panera. And so I was working at Panera Bread, and I'd show up at the point in time that the overnight bakers were done, right? They were done. And so I showed up at like 6 a.m. They were done. And there was some staff that would do the breakfast stuff. And my job was to prep lunch. So between 6 and 11, I'm making soups and getting the salad stuff ready and doing all that stuff just in the kitchen. And that Panera had a co-op agreement with a local high school.
Mhm.
And so sometime around 10 o'clock, those students would show up and they would start to work, and they would whatever, right, get ready for lunch and serve the lunch stuff and all that kind of stuff. And so there was an overlap, and they were not all that fun to work with. They were just where they're at in their life stage. And they didn't really have a whole lot of respect for the individuals that worked in the kitchen that did all that work. And one day, without having a plan of what next, I just said, I'm done. And I went to the manager and was like, I'm out of here. See ya. And ultimately, that decision was not based on because I had another job lined up and I had other income and I had a plan in place, and now I'm going to go have a bigger, more important role or a job. I had just faced weeks and weeks and weeks and months of not being happy.
Mhm.
Like that was it. That was
Mhm.
it. Like I didn't want to be treated like that at work. So I made that decision. Well, my job was great at Credera. I loved it. I loved the people. I love the work I was doing. But there was an opportunity to have greater ownership and to create something from scratch. And so in that instance, it was less about what I was leaving and more about the opportunity to create. And the fact that that would give me unbelievable joy. And so there have been these moments in my career where it was, I faced these decisions. I made them quickly. I didn't have all the data or all the facts or all the vision, but I knew that if I made that decision, I would be happy. And that was enough. And that was enough for me. So yeah, I had a great, awesome career at Accenture. I learned a ton at Credera as well. The opportunity to run a P&L, to have a practice in Houston, to help grow that company. Some of my great dear friends are still there. It's a fantastic firm. But I asked myself, what would it be like if I could create something in a vision that I would birth, and with the people that would buy into that vision and that idea, how awesome and fun would that even feel like work?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
the answer was, it wouldn't feel like work at all, and that would be a ton of fun. So I made the decision, and that's how I was able to leave Credera and start my own business and become an entrepreneur.